title as well, and Mineral Area out of Missouri comes in as the defending champion.
Yeah, that was their first team title. They're looking to go back-to-back. Harper went back-to-back in 22 and 23, so they'd love to make it a duo of duos, if you will, from respective teams. Joliet and DuPage make sure Illinois is well represented here as well, and it's just going to be tough to take down Mineral Area. But I will say on the rankings throughout the year, I mean, the top 5 have kind of shifted around multiple times throughout the season in those weekly rankings, and so I would say, especially with conditions like this, it's a little bit wide open, but Mineral Area has 3 of the top 7 runners coming in over this 5K distance, so they are going to be tough to beat.
Joliet last won a Division III title when the event was held here in 2020, and Tiffany Lehman also won the individual title for Joliet. On the individual side of the equation, 3 emerge on our list, Trevor.
Yeah, Clay Wittenberg and Emily Marriott, both of Mineral Area, are going to look to be a big 1-2 punch for them. Talia Diaz-Cruz is the only representative here on the women's side for Thaddeus Stevens. The sophomore comes in with the number 2 time, so she'll be looking to break up that duo out in front or potentially take the victory herself. But Wittenberg, Marriott, and then Allison Skiles, also of Mineral Area, one to watch. If they're going to win, it's going to be on the backs of those 3.
So look at our top teams and our top individuals, and back to a live look at where we think the start line is. At least that's where everyone else thinks the start line is. Actually, in the men's race,
it's the white line on the ground.
Exactly. I think in the men's Division III race, we had a few guys a few meters ahead of the rest because they're really. It's really hard to see where your box is and certainly where that line is. I suppose that cone is trying to preserve some race integrity here, and when all else fails, do what the guy in the foreground's doing. Just try to find that line as best you can underneath that grass. But as we've been saying since we watched those highlights of the men's race, I mean, these conditions have actually worsened, I think, Trevor, since the beginning of the morning.
There's that drone shot. Yeah, I'm just picturing the guy who spent all day painting the field yesterday, sitting in the corner smoking a cigarette and wondering why he did that. But look at that. It's a winter wonderland indeed.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys, for getting that drone up into the air. It really is, gives you kind of a unique perspective. Somewhere out there is where you can hit a little white golf ball during sunnier and warmer days. This is a golf course track, but you would not know it in comparison to just some farmland out somewhere in the state of Iowa. Fort Dodge, northwest of Des Moines, and of course, the state of Iowa is such a great contributor to track and field and to cross country. This is actually the site, Trevor, each and every year of the state high school championship meet. So a lot of the kids, especially in some of the divisions we'll see later on today with a couple of standout programs from in and around the Iowa area. They've also got the familiarity of having run at this venue as high schoolers. But the drone drifts over now to the starting line area, and the women getting ready now to race at 5 kilometers with the gun about 3 minutes away.
Well, Paul, we can talk about why some people have mentioned that maybe cross country should be in the Winter Olympics, and I think you can see why here. I think that'd be a great addition.
I think I will send Sebco an email and a free trial of runnerspace.com plus so he can see why this is certainly should be on. And he's a big advocate for it, obviously, as there's been some stories written about it here even in the last several months that World Athletics is certainly trying to get it considered for the Winter Olympics program, and it would be cool with Salt Lake now on the schedule for another hosting to have that happen in the U.S. In Utah.
A lot of really exciting stuff coming up with LA 2028, of course, and great track and field, great cross country. It's a good time. We just got spoiled over the last 5 years with all these championships as well. Obviously, it was a tough time during COVID and all the delays and postponements and everything that threw everything for a loop, not just in the track world, of course, and cross country and beyond, but boy, we got a great run there, and we'll get to, I guess, catch our breath a little bit next year. There is the Ultimate Championship, I believe, in Budapest, Hungary, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be an interesting endeavor. We'll see how that goes, but a little bit different than World Champs or Olympics every single year for 5 years straight.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get a reset. I know the athletes are looking forward to, in many cases, trying different distances. Femke Bol moving up to the 800 meters. Rai Benjamin has talked about open 400 meters and not doing the hurdle. So all the hurdlers are saying, if I don't have to run hurdles next year, that'll be a good thing. But we are in a holding pattern here as we'll have the gator come across the line in the final stages of the preparations for the Women's Division III NJCAA National Championship from Fort Dodge, Iowa. Glad you're joining us. Hopefully you're in a warmer condition for viewing this race. The women are at the line and ready to run. They've found that start line buried underneath this early November snowfall in Iowa as the Division III race is moments away.
I think you're exactly right, Paul. You said they were dreading that moment of stripping off the layers and the warm-ups, but I think it's that time in between. Once you start, you got the adrenaline, the blood starts pumping, but it's that short time in between. The warm-ups come off, you're standing here, you're already a bundle of nerves, and you get that standing still cold as opposed to the on-the-move kind of cold. So, yeah, this is the calm, I guess, during the storm, huh?
And a good reminder for the athletes, the only way you're going to get warm is start running, as they'll await that moment here as they're ready at the line in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And they are underway in the Women's Division III NJCAA Women's Cross Country Championship, racing 5K today for a national title.
See everybody start to funnel in, and now we get that beautiful drone shot. This is one of my favorite shots on any day in cross country, that wide shot of everybody funneling down and starting to shake out, and the adrenaline settling in and seeing who's going to take to the lead, but even better on a beautiful landscape like this. I guess snowy and rough conditions, certainly, but it sure looks nice.
Well, you can already see some savvy running here at the front, as the gator that will follow this group of women around this 5-kilometer race course. They're going right into that tread rail and taking advantage of being able to see the ground a little bit better than other points on the course, and kind of everyone moving now into those tracks as they will funnel now in to the main part of the course.
We'll see if we have an early leader that fades a little bit like we saw with the men. You know, there's a little difference. Sometimes you see on the men's side an athlete get a little too excitable early on, and I also think the reason is you just have a little bit more patience. You have longer, over the 8K course versus the 5K and for the women, and so they don't really have the same amount of time to let the leader get too far ahead. So with only 5K here, I think we'll see a little bit more tightly bunched lead group earlier on and not too big of a gap. Now, we may see the leaders break away, but I just don't think we'll see a huge gap from a leader early on.
But this field of the Women's Division III already stringing out just a little bit as you see them there. And, I mean, absent those flags, Trevor, how on earth, other than following the gator, do they know where they're going right now?
Yeah, maybe that's a reason not to lead, huh? Is to wonder where you're going, just following the leader here.
And a good shot from high above. You know, obviously the snow is coming down, but you can see in the shadows of those trees that line some of the fairways here at the golf course, not a lot of accumulations, but just the snow in their faces. We saw some of the men in that Division III race, kind of wearing sunglasses to try to give them some help with their vision. It's just conditions you probably weren't even expecting a week ago coming into this race. In fact, winner in that men's race was talking about, forecast was for rain even just a few days ago.
Yeah, you talk about the arm sleeves, the gloves, the beanies, the sunglasses, and it's not just for fashion, like you're saying, but the one of the outside shots here, a dark horse, if you will, as a team, is the Fashion Institute of Technology coming down from New York. They jumped 4 spots to come up to number 4, so we didn't have them on the top 3. That, credit certainly to Mineral Area, Joliet, DuPage, who we mentioned, and Mineral Area, again, is going to be tough to beat, but, if there is an outside shot here as a team, I think we got to give a nod to Fit out of New York, the Fashion Institute of Technology there, and they were led by Michaela Numkena. They finished 3rd at Nationals in 2019. That's their highest finish. But if we're talking about a day of upsets or unexpected finishes, they could potentially be one to upset the apple cart.
Do have that Gator a little bit out ahead of the leaders, but looks like Talia Diaz-Cruz of Thaddeus Stevens is the one leading this group through the first kilometer or so of the race. Again, we expect to get splits on the course, though in the men's race we didn't get them until 3 kilometers. But now we do have them through 1K here, Trevor, and Diaz-Cruz is the leader with Wittenberg and Vecchio second and third.
Clay Wittenberg's got to be running really confidently. As we said, she came in with the number 1 timer in 1925 earlier this year, but Diaz-Cruz also 1934, not too far off of that. And I always talk about times, they don't mean nothing in cross country, of course, but especially on a day like this, you can kind of, if not throw out the form chart, you can kind of set it aside maybe a little bit more so than on a usual day.
And another great look from that drone, able to get it in the air here under these conditions, and you can see that leaders are stringing this group out. So the running at the front, keeping this race honest in the early going as you see that turn live from high above, and then there on the course tracker you see the graphical representation of where they are as they will kind of now work back in the direction in which they originally came off the start line. And again, with just 5 kilometers here, not a lot of chance to be getting back into a race. And Trevor, this one, getting away from a lot of these athletes very early in the race.
Well, maybe we'll see history repeat itself. Talia Diaz-Cruz was 5th last year. Clark in the opening race was 5th a year ago. He ended up winning. Diaz-Cruz would love to turn that 5th into a 1st. We had our top 2 last year were sophomores, and number 4 as well. So we'll have a new winner here certainly this year. Allison Skiles is a top returner as well for Mineral Area, who we mentioned briefly. She was 3rd last year, so expect to see her at least somewhere up there, and that team battle start to shake out a little quicker again than the men's side. You can see that athletic course tracker giving you an idea of the back and forths, similar to the men, not the exact same loops obviously, but a little bit of the ups and downs, but certainly that snow and the footing add some extra challenges here.
Just saw Caitlin Terrell of Jefferson College, Emily Marriott of Mineral Area College also among the top 3, along with her teammates Allison Skiles and Clay Wittenberg. And as we look at the team standings through that first kilometer, it was DuPage with 88 points and Mineral Area College with 89 points, and Joliet behind them in 93 points. But still, 4 kilometers now under. We're going to come up on that 2K here shortly, as you can see it on that course tracker, and we'll reset the leaders and also reset that team race as they keep working through these winter-like conditions, and crowds still working their way back and forth from different positions out on the race course. You get a good sense of kind of those places that they can move on. Looking at that athletic course tracker as well, as this thing kind of zigzags back and forth using as much of this golf course as possible.
Well, I hate to be contrarian, Paul. I don't know. I'm from Southern California myself. Well, you said winter-like. I think it would be safe to say these are winter conditions, certainly. If they're not, I'm not sure what are.
Well, if you're up at Big Bear, it's kind of winter-like, right?
That's right. That's right. The other thing is I'm definitely a lover of the Christmas season, and hey, it starts the day after Thanksgiving and all that. I like having a clear delineator, but boy, it's hard to argue if you want to curl up by the fire with a cup of hot cocoa, like you said. This might kick off the season.
At my local warehouse store, we start celebrating Christmas apparently like July 5th. And it starts with like a little display of ribbon, and then a week later, the explosion of holidays. I mean, I guess in fairness, we should be able to buy fireworks in January for mid-July.
No argument for me.
All right, we've got 2K splits for you now, as you've seen on the screen, as Lainey Vecchio has gotten herself into the lead and has put on some good distance between her and Diaz Cruz. Wittenberg third, Jessica Balmer of DuPage fourth, as they work their way through what now is about the midpoint of this race, Trevor, with a 5K distance to cover. Teams, they've got two of the squads now across the line with 5 runners, or at least Joliet now with that 5th runner across, you see there. So DuPage with the lead with 80 points unofficially, and Joliet second with 92. And Mineral Area College, coming in as the defending champions, still waiting for that 5th runner to come across.
Yeah, Vecchio's another one. I mean, hasn't raced a ton this year, but won the region and led the runners to their 3rd straight regional team title in Region 19 last week. She was named the National Athlete of the Week for that effort. So, she's one who's been coming on strong and trying to ride that momentum maybe to a win here.
Mineral Area now with a 5th runner across, so they're down to 87 points, so not certainly out of that team battle yet, but finding themselves behind DuPage, and DuPage looking for its first ever Division III championship as we look at the history going back to 1991 here. So we'll see how that plays out as we watch the leader here in front, and from high above you can see that lead has extended here slightly, again just through about halfway in this 5-kilometer women's Division III National Junior College Championship.
Yeah, Jessica Balmer of DuPage has been holding tight in that 4th spot, so she definitely will have to lead the pack there. But I love the drone shot, not just for the visuals, but to really be able to see the gaps here. And this is really impressive. We see it on the splits, certainly as we're on the back half of this race now. About 6 seconds or so from Vecchio back to Diaz Cruz, Wittenberg another couple of seconds back, with Balmer a few seconds back from her. So very, very well strung out. And like we said, we saw it, a little more tightly bunched early on, but credit to Lainey Vecchio here of Rowan College out of South that's making that move and, again, just catching everybody, I think, on their heels. But, again, this wide shot gives you an idea to see not just the seconds, but really the distance between these athletes. Everybody's kind of running their own race.
Well, that sharp turn, have a chance to see where she is in relation to those women who are chasing her. Diaz Cruz now makes the turn. Wittenberg there. Balmer there. As we await Vecchio, that line across that she just crossed is the 3K mark. So 2K to go for Vecchio, and she now has about an 8-second advantage, or call it almost 10-second advantage, actually, over Diaz Cruz. Wittenberg third, Jessica Balmer now just coming across the line in 4th with 2K to go.
Well, this is going to start to really tell the story on the team side as well. You've been given those updates, but it's going to be tight here as we come over the final 2K. But we didn't have Vecchio as really one of the main ones to watch, and maybe she's starting to struggle here a little bit, but she's built up a lead that if she can just finish strong. You see the athletic course tracker there as well. Still a couple of hills. Those get steeper as you get later in the race, if you will. I used to say that about the hurdles as well. They get taller towards the end of the race. So there's certainly some challenges left, some twists and turns, but she's built up a pretty good lead here so far.
Yeah, she's more than a minute ahead of whoever's going to cross the line next in 12th place. She came through in 11:51. 11th, Bahunik of Joliet Junior College came through in 12:48.4, and now confirmed as Elena Korsong just came across in 12th in 12:52.4. So those top 11 have just kind of opened up this race, and going to be a patient waiting game right now as we look at the top side of that graphic as we await the 5 runners to come through for each of the teams to get that team score. This a very different kind of race than what we saw on the men's side just about an hour ago.
A little bit more biding their time on the men's side, a little bit more patience and waiting to break away, and maybe a little bit more caginess or strategic back and forth. But credit to Vecchio here. It remains to be seen if she'll be able to hang on, but I mean, there's something to be said for, fortune favoring the bold, and you see that gap. It just every step you run out of real estate to close that gap if you're trying to chase down your leader, Lainey Vecchio, and she's got to be gaining confidence. That's one of the advantages. There's challenges with the twists and turns, but as you mentioned, when you do a sharp turn like that, you can kind of get a free peek over the shoulder and see, okay, how much room do I have, even as things start to hurt here. But she's not too far away from winning a national championship of her own.
And Trevor, as we watch and wait for that 5th runner from Mineral Area College to come across the line, that really is now the story in that team race. Mineral Area had a spread in their top 4 runners of 3rd to 18th, but their runner in 5th, as we await them to come across the line to populate that score, now finally comes through. Their 5th runner alone in 44th position. And they're still just 6 points back of DuPage, who's running with a kind of a pack mentality today. 4th, 12th, 19th, 20th, and 25th for DuPage. So Mineral Area College, they're going to try to win a national title here. They need something from their 5th place runner in the last 2K of this national championship run.
Well, and it's going to be challenging if you really look at those times coming through that split. There's only a couple athletes within a few seconds of her, 2 athletes within maybe a second or 2, and then it's another 5 seconds, past that to catch the next 2 in front of her. So it's going to be a tall order, really, for Mackenzie Collins there, the 5th runner for Mineral Area, to advance much more over these the last mile or so here coming up. And as we said, the higher you are, the less of a sway it is with the number of points as you pass runners. So there's still a chance, certainly, for Mineral Area College, but credit to DuPage has been running really well. 4th through 25th is their spread coming through that 3K split.
So nearing 16 minutes on the clock in this women's 5-kilometer championship final in Division III. Lainey Vecchio closing in on 4K right now as she has now come across the line right there and is with the lead over Talia Diaz-Cruz. I don't think there's been much change in the top of the order here, Trevor, with 1K to go. Vecchio the lead, officially 16:06 flat. Diaz-Cruz 16:17.6, and then Jessica Baumer in 3rd, 15 seconds back of the leader Vecchio, 16:21.7. Wittenberg of Mineral Area College is in 4th, but she's 11 seconds back of Baumer. So, another way that Mineral Area can kind of get in contact for that team title would be to have some of their runners pick up a place or 2. But again, as spread out as this race has become, Trevor, there's just not a lot of margin here for teams behind the leaders to try to catch up in the team standings.
Yeah, that's a double whammy. A big move there from Baumer on that K. She came through the 3K in 4th and was just a couple seconds back of Wittenberg. And then through this 4K, she comes up and, like you said, is 10 seconds or so ahead of Wittenberg in 4th. So that's a really big move from Baumer. You don't get extra points for the gap, for the time distance. It's just the placing, of course. But being able to move from 4th to 3rd and taking down one of your main team rivals there as well is a big, big deal for Baumer.
So good look at Vecchio running alone here right now, trying to hold on to that lead over Diaz Cruz. It was 11.6 seconds the lead with a kilometer to go. You can see Diaz Cruz there back in the distance, and as well Jessica Balmer, who's been full of run on the second half of this race, trying to see maybe if she's trying to close the gap and try to pick up another place in the race and try to get in a position to be in second in the closing stages.
Yeah, it would be really impressive back half. I'd have to double check if it'd be maybe a negative split or not. I don't know about the actual splits, and again, it's all about the placing, of course. But Balmer seems to be getting stronger as the race goes on. Knows that the team title is there for the taking for DuPage, and that would be a really big move for her. She's already moved up, as I said, so really good running from Balmer. Wittenberg trying to hold position. Marriott came through there in 7th for Mineral Area as well. So, yeah, this team battle shaping up really, really strong.
And DuPage has got their 5 across the timing apron at 4 kilometers. They've got 76 points. Waiting for Mineral Area, the defending champions, to have their 5th runner. Again, they were in 44th, that 5th place runner for Mineral Area through 3 kilometers. Joliet now with 5 runners across. Doesn't mean Mineral Area won't be up in second again, but still waiting for their 5th runner to cross the line. Again, they were in 44th overall, almost 2 minutes back of the leaders. We go full screen to the leaders now, and Vecchio still in control, and looks like behind her, Diaz Cruz in a good position to be holding on to second right now, with Jessica Balmer of DuPage in 3rd.
Yeah, Mineral Area, as you said, did jump back into second there. They still would have 10 or 15 points to make up, but it's going to be tough for them to do so over the last just, less than a K here. But, hey, credit to our leader, Vecchio, with a big, big win here.
Lenny Vecchio into the chute as she finally sees the finish line, covers the 5K distance for a Division III national championship. And the freshman takes the victory over Diaz Cruz, the sophomore from Thaddeus Stevens, and then Jessica Balmer of DuPage trying to help her squad win its first ever Division III National Junior College Women's Cross Country Championship. Sophia Mullins of Jefferson College, as she finishes in 4th. But yeah, it's amazing how different this race was on the women's side, Trevor, than the men, as each of these women kind of running in their own little cocoon here. The places coming in pretty well settled as this race continues to unfold. And of course, we keep an eye out for the rest of the squad from DuPage and other. Clay Wittenberg of Mineral Area is going to be their top finisher in 5th. Emily Marriott of Mineral Area College in 7th. So 2 low sticks for the defending champions, but it's not the performance at the front that has mattered for them. It's been the performance in their runners in 4 and 5. So we'll see how that plays out here as we keep an eye on the finish line. And Vecchio receives the congratulations as the national champion.
Vecchio, as you said, the freshman out of Rowan College in South Jersey. Big, big win. I think it's finally settling in here, and after being named the National Athlete of the Week after her performance at regionals, and again, didn't really race much earlier in the season. It just came on at the right time. I mean, you really couldn't ask for anything better than that, to come through, get a win at regionals, and just have your best race on the day in tough conditions and take the national championship.
See Mineral Area and Jefferson College both with 2 in. In fact, if you just did, 2 athletes for each squad, Mineral Area with 12 points, Jefferson College with 13, DuPage now with 2 in, they would have 15 points. So, again, top of the funnel for all these squads, performing very well and very consistently. But now we're going to start to see where the placings matter the most, is DuPage and Mineral Area Now DuPage with 4 runners across the line in 3rd, 12th, 16th, and 18th. So done a nice job of keeping themselves close. Mineral Area now with 4 in. That spread 5-21. And so again, Mineral Area would win this competition if it was down to just 4 runners against DuPage. And it's all going to come down to that 5th runner, Trevor, for a national title.
Yeah, but look at how we talk about the front was pretty strung out, but look at how the rest of the race, now we're starting to see a few more groupings come together, but the whole race has been really strung out, which means you just don't get quite as many big swings of points from one split to the next. And DuPage through 4K had their 5th runner in 25th and 43rd for Mineral Area, who we mentioned, for their 5th runner. So that is a tough gap to make up coming into this finish, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, you can see a little bit more competitive battles here in the latter half of this women's field, as there is some opportunity to get, even one place could matter, as we see a couple of strong finishes here at the end. As we await that 5th runner from DuPage, Joliet, and Mineral Area. Now DuPage with 5 across the line with 73 points. Again, unofficial, as we'll await those officials, but you can see this battle here. Everyone trying to get to the line to help their team. Joliet now with 5 across, totaling 98 points, and you sit and wait for that 5th runner from Mineral Area College.
Last year they scored 40 points to take victory, so that was a really, really tight grouping, as all 5 of their top athletes were in the top 14, if you can imagine. A really, really low score for them. Harper College with 61 behind them. So this was much more spread out this year. Like you said, top end still very solid, as it was for DuPage and Joliet, solid there as well. But it's just those 4 and 5 runners that just make all the difference.
And there you now see Mineral Area College, their 5th runner, coming across the line in 40th, so did improve placing over the last 2 kilometers, Trevor, but it's not going to be enough, as right now unofficially DuPage is going to win its first Division III women's cross-country title in 73 points over Mineral Area College and Joliet, 3rd with 98 points.
Well, what an impressive run from DuPage. We talked about the leader of the pack, if you will, Jessica Balmer, who slowly moved up. And we mentioned her early on, knew that she could be a factor, didn't really challenge or bother the leaders, but still just slowly picked away, moved up from that 4th position to 3rd and led the way for DuPage. But credit to the rest of the field there as well on DuPage's team. Elena Corsong, Maureen Bloomley, Allison Pastiora, and Samantha Blankenship, that all-important 5th runner coming in through in 25th place. So it's not just the top end, it's the grouping. That's what we love about cross-country. It's a true team sport. DuPage got it done today.
If you're just joining us for the coverage at the NJCAA Women's and Men's Cross Country Championships, we're in Fort Dodge, Iowa, watching the last few runners get across the line in the Women's Division III race. We're just over an hour away from the start of the Division I racing. The men will race 8K at noon Central Time, and then an hour later the women will race the 5K distance. We'll wrap up the day's schedule with Division II a little bit later on in the day. Nice job by the support staff here, helping these runners get quickly into rest and recovery, and hopefully finding a place that is warmer than it is at the finish line.
They won't have to go looking for ice if they need it, I'll tell you that much. Just take a seat.
And as we celebrate those team champions and individual champions, certainly celebrate all of these women coming to the line as they have now just completed their run at a national championship, and still some runners here coming into view as we'll keep the camera on the finish line. Hope to hear from the winner, Lainey Vecchio, in a moment with Mike J., who's doing yeoman's work, is also the PA announcer on site and helping us here with some post-race interviews, as we hope to hear from Vecchio here shortly. Meantime, runners continue to come in. The snow continues to fall, and we continue to celebrate these junior college athletes as they complete that long journey that probably felt a little bit longer today at the 5K distance for the women.
These are some great images, though, the video certainly, and then the photos that'll come out of this once everybody's rested and recovered. You can see the hugs all around, the teammates that have worked so hard. You know, the summer miles and the fall training and the meets and the challenges, the ups and downs, and it's just pure sport. I mean, lining up and seeing who can get to the finish line first. That's what it's all about here. And even on a snowy day, it doesn't matter. It's just head-to-head battles. That's why we love cross country.
Well, and also kudos to the entire staff from Runner Space as well. Folks on the ground there having to maneuver through these conditions and bring you the sights, the sounds, the pictures from all over the course. Cross country, certainly one of the more challenging productions that we put on each and every year, and glad to get that drone up. I feel bad now that I had made light of the fact that the drone operator wasn't going to have to work today, and then suddenly the drone was up. So
yeah, he had to take his Ugg boots off and put down his hot chocolate and everything.
Clock now at 11 a.m. Central Time, so officially 1 hour away from that men's Division I race at 8 kilometers. A couple of more runners coming through, as we know that many of you have tuned in, not just for those who were the first, but maybe some of these final athletes coming across the line, a chance for you to cheer them on, as we're proud to bring you this live coverage of the National Junior College Championships here in 2025, and look forward to the coverage of the other two divisions coming up here next, with Division I on tap next, and then Division II wrapping things up, as we're really now into the heart of championship season. Collegiate conference meets are over. Regionals coming up next weekend. NCAA championships obviously coming up in Missouri in a few weeks' time. This is also the opening weekend of the national championship run in high school track and field. Runnerspace.com will be with you from the Heartland region tomorrow for coverage of Nike Cross Regional, first of 8 divisions, and the added group from California that will toe the line in Portland in early December. I mean, you know, not only is the season in full swing too, Trevor, but you know, just so many opportunities for these athletes to race at championship events, and I'm sure for many of these, even these junior college athletes may have had an opportunity to participate in one of those high school championship events, and I think it just sort of just helps these young athletes develop and be confident that they can go into a championship type of experience and race their very best.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, whether it's cross country or track, knowing that every point counts, every place matters, that team battle, and having everybody gather around. The regular season is tons of fun, obviously, but really when it gets to the championship season with conference and nationals, there's just nothing like it at any level. So you're absolutely right. I think getting a chance at the high school level to come through, whether it's on the individual side or as a team, that matters. The experience and, you know, realizing, hey, I can compete with these athletes, and I think it makes everybody better.
I do love the guy wearing all white, trying to help guide people to the finish, as if you could even see that guy in the middle of a snow if you're running to the finish line. I mean, I like the enthusiasm. And enthusiasm there from one of our finishers in the late stages of this women's Division III 5-kilometer championship. And again, all these athletes to be congratulated for racing at the championships here in Fort Dodge, Iowa. First time this event has been staged here since 2020, which of course was the pandemic year and meant that a lot of these athletes were not able to participate because schools weren't in a position to do that. You know, Dee Brown, who's the coach at Iowa Central, who helps put this race on, probably the busiest coach in the country because you got to wear that meet operator's hat too. And he was joking he's not going to sleep until after that half marathon championship in a few days. And you know, great work by him and his team to still have this course in championship condition for these races on this snowy Saturday.
Well, that's exactly right, and I've heard him and other coaches have talked about throughout championships where there's certainly it's an honor to host, but it's work as well, and you kind of have to wear that meet director's hat, and hope that you have some good assistants to kind of do the race day coaching as well. So multiple challenges.
Every one of these athletes will have a story to tell after completing this championship race in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Women's Division III championships wrapping up here as we now check in with Mike J., who's with the winner of the Women's Division III title.
I'm joined now by the Division III women's champion, freshman from Rowan, Gloucester, New Jersey, Lainey Vecchio. I'm assuming you're going to have several things to remember about this meet before on the way home. One being the championship, one being the weather. Did this weather change your tactics at all today?
It was more exciting because you know that everyone else is dealing with the same thing as you are. So it's like just more. You just have to have confidence when you're going out there.
Well, you raced with a lot of confidence, put a lot of gap on the field over the halfway point, and then continuing to build upon that. So, as a freshman coming into the national championship meet and winning it, was that something that was on your bingo card when the season started?
No, I actually started the season late. So I started like 3 weeks ago. I didn't even do the whole season.
Well, I would say you ended up pretty well. So you're your first time ever at a national championship meet, win a title first time out as a freshman. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lainey Vecchio, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that adds to the story, doesn't it, Trevor? A 3-week build-up in your first appearance in a national championship, and Lainey Vecchio is the Division III national champion. What a story.
Getting it done when it counts.
And this race unfolded such a different way than we saw in the men's race in Division III, as it was Talia Diaz-Cruz of Thaddeus Stevens who marched out to the early advantage, but Lainey Vecchio was ready to meet that challenge and really took control in the second half of this race, and when she was eventually done, won by almost 12 seconds.
Plowing through the snow here, it made no matter for Lainey Vecchio, as you said, overtaking Talia Diaz-Cruz, leaving Jessica Balmer and pre-meet favorite Clay Wittenberg, everybody else back there. You can see how strung out they were, but in the end, Lainey Vecchio comes in, as she said, on a shortened season, wins the regional meet, shows up here to nationals, takes the title here as well. 2 for 2. Not bad for Miss Vecchio from Rowan College.
So as we look once again at the Winter Wonderland in Fort Dodge, Iowa, here are the final results in the Women's Division III race, with Vecchio the winner in 20:20.5. Diaz Cruz finishing second. Jessica Balmer of DuPage finishing in third, and that is a big story as she gets the podium, but she also helps her team get their first Women's Division III national title as DuPage with 73 points. Mineral Area